Hello guys, welcome. Happy Memorial Day. Thank you to all those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. Actually, it's pretty ironic because we didn't plan this. I'm wearing a red polo. He's wearing a blue shirt. Now, if we just had Marty here wearing like a white shirt, this would have been perfect. We would have been fully patriotic today, but of course, Marty's not on this show. But man, that would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, it would have been.
Oh,
It would
well.
be cool to have him on a show once in a while, but
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. I'd certainly love to have him and get his aspect on some things, but maybe we'll have him as a guest one of these days for like the second half of the show or something. Um, and kind of get him to weigh his opinions or something. We'll figure something out. We got time, obviously. I'd love to get to a point where we can get guests on the show, but
yeah, it would be cool.
we got to grow the viewership, and that starts with you guys that are listening and watching right now, and be sure to share it, obviously. And as we're recording, actually, it is also Indy 500 Day. It's one of the biggest racing days in the U.S., or actually one of the biggest motorsports days of the year. So I'm going to do a shameless plug before we begin by saying please go check out of Turn 4 from last night. That's a special edition episode. We covered the Indy 500, and we also gave our picks for Monaco, even though I hate Monaco and I hate F1. Jason saw those texts earlier, I'm sure.
Yeah, I did.
We're trying to persuade one of our friends to be an IndyCar fan, or at least I am. Jason doesn't care, so it's...
I mean, I've seen the Indy 500
Yeah, but
before, and I'm not saying that I haven't. I can't get behind it.
look, if you're gonna get into any racing, and I know this isn't out of Turn 4, but if you're gonna get to any racing, IndyCar's the way to go. That's all I'm gonna say. To anyone who's listening who doesn't watch out of Turn 4, IndyCar's the way to go. But tune into that. No Final Bell, I'm sure, has some fun stuff coming up too. We'll of course ask you what's coming up on that show later. But let's get to this show. Let's focus here because we're getting derailed pretty quick. I'll start with my takeaways here, and I want to talk about Oak Hill Country Club and the PGA Championship. Brooks Koepka, he wins his third in the last 6 years. Congratulations to Brooks Koepka. Of course, he's one of the best in the world. It's his, again, 3 PGA championships in the last 6 years is nothing to sneeze at. Seeing that they change courses every year. But the biggest story, and of course, I was actually at a kid's birthday party and just happened to scroll and see this video. Michael Block, of course, a fan favorite, made a hole-in-one on the final day, and it was like a straight shot. It went off the tee and right into the cup.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's fucking wild, man. I was watching it, like I said, I was watching it on Twitter after, and I'm like, oh my god, he did not just hit that. And with the flag in, too, because, I've tried putting with the flag in, and it's not easy. So...
that's what they're professionals for, man. They've been doing it for years.
Give that man... I know he didn't win the PGA Championship, but give that man a rate. Give him a bonus of some sort.
Give that man some milk.
Maybe some milk, but definitely a bonus. He deserves a bonus. So, congratulations to Brooks Koepka and Michael Block. Just thumbs up right there. Great job. And I gotta say, before I go to my next point, man... It was great having the PGA here. It was great having all the people here for it. And even better, again, I still saw so many PGA, posts from local businesses of these golfers coming in and, checking out our local businesses.
Yeah, the local businesses definitely succeeded the best out of everything because of it.
And, last show I ended with, I challenged these golfers to go do it, to, go check out these local businesses. And normally I'm not a fan of photo ops, but when you see it on your social media, like they were at Iron Smoke Distillery or, oh man, they were at like McGregor's. I'm just throwing random restaurants out there. But when you see that they're at the local bars and the local scenes like that, it's just, it's like, wow, cool. Like, I wish I was in that place right now.
Right.
So, the Panthers finally got somewhere they wished they could be after years of looking like frauds. The Florida Panthers have advanced to the Stanley Cup, sweeping the Carolina Hurricanes. Unbelievable. This was not what I expected to happen, I'm not going to lie. Carolina, of course, was the best team remaining. Borowski, was in net for Florida, just played incredible. And, of course, that was a sweep. But now the Panthers await the winner of Vegas and Dallas, who are playing. They were playing last night. We don't have the update, of course, because we're not live. But Vegas could seal the deal as of last night. They're up 3-1 on Dallas. This is shaping up to be kind of a weird Stanley Cup.
I don't want to compare it to another sport, but it kind of seems like what's going on with NBA. The Nuggets, of course, we'll talk about that. With the Western Conference Finals, where it was a sweep, and now the Eastern Conference Finals is like, whoa. That one's still going. That one's a lot more competitive. While the West team's kind of like, all right, we'll just sit back over margaritas and just wait on the next team. That's what it kind of feels like there. Panthers are more so ready. They're like, hey, battle it out. We'll be ready for whoever wins.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. Of course, I'll have my thoughts on the Celtics and the Heat series later on as well, but man, it's looking like Vegas could be going to another Stanley Cup. And this time with this time with the 716 and the 585's least favorite hockey player in Jack Eichel. I think, there's going to be a lot of Sabres fans going for the Florida Panthers and a lot of New Yorkers really going for the Florida Panthers.
Probably, but
so
who's to say that he doesn't win one? It'd be like, a big FU to all the Sabres organization and fans to be like, oh, you guys didn't believe in me and all that other stuff. Now I went and won it all, and you still,
or you held me back. That's more what it would be. You held me back all these years, and finally I'm getting to showcase why I'm the best.
Why it was chosen as high as I was. Yeah,
but it would be crazy though, because of course Jack Eichel was a part of that draft. That was also Connor McDavid. Those two without question franchise-changing players. And I think just based on the trajectory the last few years, everybody expected that Connor McDavid was going to be that guy that won a cup before Jack Eichel. And now it appears the turns have tabled, or the tables have turned, whichever you prefer in terms of that statement. That was an intentional slip-up. But, man, that could be wild if, Jack Eichel wins one before McDavid. So
possibility. Time will tell.
But staying on the hockey side, man, I actually did get an invite to go to this game that's happening as we're recording, and thankfully, not thankfully, I did want to go real bad. One of my friends had an extra ticket. I got asked to go. Jason would have been taping by himself if it wasn't for me saying no, because while you guys are watching this, I'll be 5 hours into my shift and probably hating life. But, the Amerks play Hershey. The series is tied right now, 1-1. But, man, after game one, I thought this series was going to go in the Amerks' favor. I mean, just that game was just total domination Like, it was just one-sided, like, bitch slap in the first game. And then Hershey comes back and just shuts us out in game number 2. Game 3, you know.
And Hershey, too.
Yeah, and we watched that. We were at the bar.
Yeah, and then the next 2 games are going to be in Rochester, I would assume.
Tonight right? And Monday.
First two were in Hershey. Then game 3, 4 in Rochester. 5 in possibly 5 in Hershey, because there is going to be a game 5 because Hershey forced a game 5. Possibly game 6 in Rochester, and the last game would be in Hershey because Hershey, I think, has the better record than Rochester does. So it'll be interesting to see if Rochester can do the unspeakable and actually get to the Calder Cup finals and possibly compete for one. But it seems like Hershey might actually be their true test. The team that might actually, have to take a lot of, playing and defense just to be able to get past, because right now the Amerks are like, well, it doesn't seem like, it seemed like heading into Eastern Conference Finals, it was almost, I wouldn't say really a cakewalk, but almost a cakewalk for the Amerks. Now it's like, the true test begins.
Well, let's be fair. The first round seemed pretty, it seemed like Syracuse was going to move on. Okay, I mean, Syracuse was up 2-0. They should have easily advanced. And then, of course, the Amerks went on and swept Toronto. So they had to win 5 straight games. They won 6 straight games going into Hershey for game number 2. And, man, it just looked like, again, game 1, I thought, man, the Amerks could win this in 5, the way they're playing. But it looks like Hershey's figured out something. We'll see. Of course, the Amerks are going to have a sold-out crowd Saturday. They had a sold-out crowd last night for the game. So, man, I'm telling you, like, I'm debating. Like, it's too bad we got a barbecue on Monday night, because I'd be there tonight, or I'd be there Monday night even. And actually, here's the pictures, man. There are pictures of it being a sold-out crowd. Man.
This team has people believing, getting, people actually into the Blue Cross Arena, which, unfortunately for us Rochester people, doesn't really get out a lot of people. And even for concerts, really. I mean, unless it's like somebody really big and huge. That arena, just if Amerks can really start being good, and even during the regular season too, and get the crowds, I think that might be a good thing for Rochester going forward.
Yeah. Mind you, this is the second year they've really been surprising. They've been successful. So I can imagine next year the crowds are going to be a lot bigger for Amerks games.
Probably will. It would be nice, because that arena needs the capacity. It really does. It needs the people to be able to show up and believe in any of the events that happen there, because it doesn't draw the crowds. Even for AEW and WWE, it just doesn't draw the crowds like it should be, and it's sad.
Yeah. I will say, though, what'll be interesting is, keep in mind the Red Wings play Monday as well. So, man, if you live in Rochester, this is just going to be... Man, I think you're going to need that, like, doctor's note on why you didn't go to the family barbecue on Memorial Day.
I feel like they should postpone that Red Wings game, because more they would have more people are going to be there for that. The Amerks more than the Red Wings, but that's what they...
But see, it's Memorial Day. Everyone wants to go to baseball. I think this game should have been Tuesday night. Maybe you and I can get like an excuse to not go to this barbecue on Monday night and say, hey, we're going to the Red Wings, and we're going to go get garbage plates and Nick Tahoes, and then we're going to go to the Amerks game.
Right.
No, I'm kidding. We're not doing that. We invested too much in this.
Yeah.
If you don't know anything about our parties, we go pretty wild. Okay, we put together a big fucking dish. Okay, that's what I'll say. It's sort of like the Italian, snack table there, but it's more like the American like barbecue. Switch out the pasta for American barbecue.
Right.
So that's about what it is. But again, we look forward to that, and we hope you guys look forward to your barbecues as well, and whatever you have going on. Right. Meanwhile, I get to look forward now to what Jason has to say about the NBA, even though I don't like the NBA.
I mean, there's still some good things that you can talk about, because, I mean, the one topic that I talk about, you know about him, from college and also NBA, and then also the one other player. But the first takeaway, this one was a little bit of a shocker, to be honest with you, especially with the one team had to fight and scratch and crawl and beat the Golden State Warriors. I mean, come on now, like. And then they go into the Western Conference Finals and they get swept. The Denver Nuggets finally get to the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history. And you know who they swept to get there? The LeBron James and Anthony Davis led Los Angeles Lakers. And by the way, apparently the sweep left a sour taste in LeBron's mouth, because now he doesn't even know if he's going to be back with the Lakers in 2023, 2024, and also considering retirement.
Oh, come on. He's not going to retire until his son plays. Let's face it. That's first off, I want to say. And number two, the Lakers have nothing to be ashamed about in this run, okay? They were an 8 seed. They were a team that had to play their way in this bullshit play-in system, which I'll digress from. So, in a way, they went way further than anybody ever expected them to.
If you want to say something, I tell you what, I give a lot of credit to these play-in teams this year, because they shocked the hell out of me. I didn't think that one day we were going to even get to the playoffs, let alone getting as far as they did. I mean, both teams were in the conference finals. Mm-hmm. One is still fighting to survive to try to get to the finals, where the other one got swept. I mean, yeah, getting swept, that's the second time that's happened in LeBron's career. It does leave a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth, because you're like, we can get this done, and then you just, nope, losing 4.
Man,
that's rough for a team that had the firepower, beat the NBA champions, and they get swept by the Nuggets. Like, that's crazy to think about.
And again, but what I'm gonna say is, because they're sweeping or they were a play-in team, there's no shame in getting swept in the Eastern Conference Finals, because there are people that are gonna say they should have been swept in the first round.
Probably, but honestly, who was the team that they played? Who was the second seed in the West? I don't know. They just shocked a lot of teams and a lot of people this year, and honestly, they can't be mad about it.
But I'll say this as well. People got to stop knocking LeBron, because he gets more out of these teams than there ever should be. Much like I say about Eric Spoelstra. But LeBron, just as much can be said about him in this case, because, he led this team that had no business even being in the playoffs to now a conference final.
If this statement is true about him not wanting to come back to the Lakers, it just sounds like you're just giving up and you're going to, go off and go to another team, and then what?
Well,
you could go back to Cleveland, go back to Miami, go to a winning culture. It just sounds like you're giving up and going to a winning culture, instead of taking the chance and trying to make things work with the organization that he's with. That's the one thing that I don't like about LeBron, is that he's not willing to like stay with a team when they're not doing successful, not getting to thing. I get it, you won the championship in 2020 and stuff like that. You could have gotten back to the finals and competed for another championship. The second one in 4 years.
Well, let me say that I don't defend this, obviously, and you know very damn well I don't defend, team hopping to get to championships. But look at LeBron. He's in his late 30s. How many more opportunities is he going to get out of this?
That's why I say that considering retirement, it wouldn't really shock me. I get it. You might say that he might not, but like at this point, you've done enough in your career. You got 4 championships. You've done enough. I get it. You want to play with your son, but honestly, just retire. Like you got nothing more to give. You got nothing more to prove. You've done everything that you need to do in the NBA. You're the number 1 top scorer in the NBA. Just retire. You're already a Hall of Famer.
You're a guaranteed Hall of Famer. I agree with you on that. He's a guaranteed Hall of Famer. To me, he's a guaranteed top 5 player in the NBA history. Okay. And, and I know there are people that it's a hard to swallow pill for a lot of people, but it's the truth, okay? If you're denying that he's a top 5 player in NBA history, you've got to be having like blinders on at this point. Right. Love him or hate him, he's top 5, and that's just not even up for a debate.
See, I gave him a lot of crap, especially in his time at Miami, because I really think that he got carried by LeBron, by D Wade and Bosh. But after he went to Cleveland and won the championship and then won it with the Lakers, it's like I don't know if I can discredit him because he won 2 where he had to like lead a team. But I know that you're a Heat fan and you probably disagree with me, but I feel like he kind of got carried by the 2 other guys in Miami, where in Cleveland and Los Angeles, he kind of had to be the one that carried the teams. I mean, I get that he had a lot to say to what happened.
To me, though, it was a fair balance. I think there were days that Wade carried the team. I think you can equally say there was just as many days where LeBron had to carry the team. And the last finals that he was with Miami for, you can't deny this. He was the man carrying them. Nobody else around him gave any help.
What, in 2014? Yeah, I agree.
Okay, nobody helped him that season. The year that they lost to the Spurs.
That team that year, of course, that was the year before he went back to Cleveland. I will admit that, his team gave up on him. Yeah. He wanted to say, like, hey, follow my lead, and then everybody's like, nope.
Now, as far as, like, the one before that, where Ray Allen hit the shot, Ray Allen saved his ass. Plain and simple. Ray Allen saved his ass. That changed the whole complexity of the series. And, if off topic, but I will say that I think Ray Allen, in his prime, is a better 3-point shooter than Steph Curry ever will be. So,
I agree. Even though, Steph has the most 3-point in NBA history.
And mind you, Ray Allen went out on the top of his game. Okay, Ray Allen was still very much on the top of his game when he retired.
Right, I agree. Speaking of somebody that just retired, Carmelo Anthony has announced his retirement from the NBA after 19 years. 3-time Olympic gold medalist, a 10-time NBA All-Star, a 6-time All-NBA selections. He has scored the 9th most points in NBA history. He was a 2013 scoring champion and also a member of the NBA 75th anniversary team. I tell you what, he might not have won a ring, but I think he has done enough in his career to muster a Hall of Fame induction.
He's gonna be. There's no question.
Because if Jason, even though Jason Kidd did win a ring, but if guys like, if Steve Nash, who hasn't won a ring, could be a Hall of Famer, and I think he is in the Hall of Fame now, then why not Carmelo Anthony? Not saying that they'll throw anybody in the Hall of Fame, but
But why does it have to be an emphasis on rings in this
It does.
case? It doesn't.
Because he's done enough in his career. I mean, even look at that.
Look,
Not a lot of people can say that they've won 3 Olympic gold medals.
I will say for Carmelo Anthony, the early parts of his career were fantastic, but boy, did Father Time get cruel to him in his later career. Of course, the last really 4 or 5 years, he's been bouncing between teams.
Yeah.
And it's Father Time was cruel to Carmelo Anthony.
I agree. Yeah, because he bounced between the Thunder to the Lakers to the Blazers. Just everywhere, honestly. Like, teams were trying to give him a chance, and you thought maybe even this year that Carmelo Anthony could have been picked up because he was a free agent, but nobody just saw him as he wasn't as good as he was. No. He was past his prime, unfortunately, and he was one of the last ones of the 2013 draft that retired. LeBron's literally the last guy of that 2003 class that's still playing.
Yeah, but
Chris
LeBron
was 2003. D-Wade was 2003, retired. Carmelo just retired.
Chris Bosh's retirement was just unfortunate. Okay.
Yeah, it was
the medical issues.
Yeah.
Carmelo was just, again, Father Time just really did not play nice with him. And then LeBron, I mean, you see it slowly starting to show. But it's not like, it's not like he's nosedived off a cliff. He's still easily a top 5 player right now. Not just in NBA history, but in the NBA.
I say LeBron maybe has another 2 more years left because I know Bronny is committed to USC. I think he's going to play a year. LeBron's going to try anything in his power to play with his son at least 1 year and then afterwards retire. I think that's what's going to be the case. I say, LeBron, hear me out. I could be wrong, but I think LeBron's got another 2 years in the NBA before he's said and done. He'll play until he's 40.
Yep. And, Carmelo, congrats to him, too. I hope, though, he will do a little bit more at Syracuse University now that he's retired.
It'd be cool if he could be part of the coaching staff or something like that.
Not even that. It'd be nice if he could be an ambassador to the program, much like a role that Jim Boeheim has taken on now. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I'm hoping he does something either with NCAA, Syracuse, or something with the NBA. I think that what's probably going to be his next journey, to be honest with you. But he's done a lot. He's got a lot of accomplishments. I mean, even taking to the Knicks to the playoffs in 2012 and having a great year when they had the team that they had. Melo has done a lot. I mean, Nuggets, the Knicks, any team he's been on, I think he's made an impact on, honestly. So, great career, Carmelo. Congratulations. Hopefully, retirement will suit you well, and you can finally catch up with being a father and stuff like that. So, congrats. This one, my last takeaway. This one, kind of just like, wow. I was not expecting. I was thinking that maybe he could have gotten traded. There was rumors that he might be getting traded during the NFL draft. Didn't happen. Then Arizona Cardinals like, you know what? We've had enough of him talking bad about the team, wanting to go elsewhere. So they just up and cut him. I was shocked about that one. This one just happened recently too. Like, as we released this on Sunday, this happened like a couple days ago, where the Cardinals were like, enough. We can take tanking and getting the maybe possibly the first overall pick, because now DeAndre Hopkins, who was sitting high and being a top paid player, is unfortunately got no team right now. He is currently a unrestricted free agent, which means that any team can pick him up for a year, 2 years. He does want to get a contract extension, but if you're DeAndre Hopkins and a team comes up and say, we can give you a 1 year, like, I don't know, $3 million contract, I feel like you would have to take it.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it's about the money. I think it's just he wants to play for a good team with a great culture. Good quarterback, good defense, great culture. I think that's all he wants. It doesn't sound like he's all about the money. And honestly, I don't think it's going to take very long for DeAndre Hopkins to get picked up by a team.
I don't think it's going to be the Bills, but yeah, I think it's going to be a good team, you know. I know he's mentioned the Cowboys is really his top destination.
God, but he doesn't know the Cowboys. I just don't want to hear their fans talking about them getting him, to be honest with you.
I like hearing Skip Bayless
in those colors.
I like seeing Skip Bayless remain quiet. That's what I like. You know, so please don't go there. You know, I know he mentioned the Patriots, although that would be the dumbest thing he's ever done in his career, because if he wants to play for a winner, the Patriots are not that team right now.
Especially since they sound like they're giving up on Mac Jones.
I feel like this is going to be that make or break year for them with him.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree. I just think that maybe DeAndre Hopkins, if he was to say go to the Patriots, could probably try to help them out, but
I feel like
have anybody else but DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins doesn't want to try to be the hero and play hero ball for the Patriots, because unfortunately they don't really have that top receiver that can jump them up, even with getting DeAndre Hopkins.
What I see happening is
the two teams that we see make sense is probably the Chiefs or the Bills.
See,
and I understand you just said that maybe I don't see him going to the Bills, but we don't know.
Yeah,
Bills could make a trade Tuesday and then say, "Oh yeah, we just signed DeAndre Hopkins." Like, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. Like, any team right now could like make a deal for him.
See,
contact his agent and make a deal like tomorrow or something like that.
If it's a contender, I don't get why the Patriots would be on that list, because there's 3 other teams in that division that are more likely to contend for it than the Patriots. And I mean, like, those 3 teams are going to throttle New England in terms of the division standings. You know, I think the Jets make sense because, you know, even though they've already got kind of a loaded offense, you know, but Rodgers would have the big target like he used to have in Devontae Adams. You know, the Dolphins would make sense, but again, they've got Jalen Waddle right now, and they've got
afford him with everything else that they got going on. I don't think he wants to play with a team, and no offense to Tua, but I don't think he wants to play with a team that's going to remind him like Kyler Murray.
He doesn't want to play for a team and then be told, hey, T.Y. Hilton, go deep. I'm not T.Y. Hilton. Who are you again? Oh, sorry, that's a bad concussion joke. I'll take that one back, but still.
Yeah, but the thing is that I think the 2 quarterbacks that would make the most sense is Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes for DeAndre Hopkins. Somebody that could get a lot of production, see the ball, go downfield, be that kind of target. Just because of the arm strength that those 2 men have. Even if he was to somehow go to the Chargers too, I mean, like, that would still be a thing. But I just don't think that
I'd love it, but no, I don't see it happening.
Like, that's why I'm saying, I think if you really want to say anything, maybe the Cowboys. But the thing is that Jerry Jones, he would be the one that would be crazy enough to get him. That's the thing too. So who knows? Maybe the Chiefs, Bills, and Cowboys would be the 3 teams that might have the best odds to get him. Where could he go next? I don't know. Honestly, as much as I would like to be biased and say I would love to see him in Buff, because, you know, Von Miller and he's been trying to get him here as much as possible. He was doing the same thing for Odell, who unfortunately didn't happen. But we'll happen to watch and see. That's all I can say.
Yeah, we'll see, of course. But I think it's good to move on, right? So,
Yes.
let's go to Sunday Ticket. Of course, we know Sunday Ticket will be available on YouTube TV this year for residential purposes. Excuse me. So, it was just announced today that Sunday Ticket and or the NFL and DirecTV have reached a deal to put Sunday Ticket back with DirecTV, but only for bars and hotels. So if you're not willing to pay the $250 plus, a YouTube subscription, or pay the $350 just for the NFL package, well, now you can go back to your favorite bar and watch it on DirecTV.
They kind of had, in a way,
did you expect any less?
Something like that, because it wouldn't be fair to the people that they would have to buy newer TVs and streaming it, especially if they have older TVs and rather not stream TV and have regular direct TV and cable and stuff like that. So they kind of had to make it work out, because a lot of people do go to the bars for watching football and having wings and beer and stuff like that. So it kind of makes sense for the bars, but hotels, I'm sorry.
I want to know what hotel.
I don't know what hotel has Sunday Ticket, because if I'm missing out and not going to the right hotel that has it, then I want to know who
must be in
the world has Sunday Ticket and is a hotel. If it's one of those super fancy ones, let me tell you something. I was at a super fancy one in Boston. Tell you what, they had nothing near Sunday Ticket. So that's why I want to know what hotels have Sunday Ticket.
See, I want that answer too, because then, if you and I decide to take a trip or something mid-season, or you or I decide to take a trip mid-season, then we'll know what hotel to check into.
Right.
It must be one of those rich people hotels, where you hold your pinky up and you pour your tea into the freaking mug there. So clearly it must be too fancy for us poor people on the show, but
it's probably one of those 5-star hotels, who knows.
But as far as the bars, it's good. And I think I meant to talk about this on Out of Turn 4, and I was going to this week. Before, of course, I just didn't have the energy to do it this week on Tuesday. I explained at the beginning of Out of Turn 4 why that was. But, we're moving too fast on the whole streaming thing, of course. I will tell you that when I figured out that our game, the Bills and the Chargers, was going to be on Peacock, I was like, no, that's a little too soon to be pushing, Peacock.
I agree.
It's a little too soon.
To have Peacock, and I will be able to watch it. It's just that the people that don't, now they got to go to the bar that does have Peacock, but a lot of the bars don't even have that.
Yeah.
So it's
exactly.
Want to watch that game for what? Saturday on Saturday.
It's not even. Saturday. Yeah, but it's not even the bars.
I watch the Saturday game if I just have regular cable. I can't.
Yeah.
Now, I will agree. I hope they do have another channel that they'll have the game on. If anybody doesn't, I would think that you would have to put it on NBC, regular NBC, as well as Peacock. Because if it's just Peacock, that's not fair to the people that don't have it.
And, to the people who are saying, oh, $4.99, just pay the $4.99. Get over yourselves. First off, there are people that just can't afford it, number one. And number two, there are people who just don't have the access to it like, you or I do. And, that's just, to me, it's demeaning, I think, streaming is definitely the way of the future, and there's no denying it. But we're still, I think, a good 5 to 10 years out before, streaming is sort of the go-to in terms of how you do things. We got people, I'm sorry to say it, but boomers that just won't cut the cord and say, hey, let's go to streaming. Look,
I can't really talk because I already have. I mean, I just literally like
Yeah, we have too, obviously.
my camera. I could show you my new 58-inch Roku
Mm,
TV that I just
yeah,
got. So
but
I can't really talk about it. But honestly, um, I mean, I back in the day I had DirecTV. I've had Time Warner. I've had Spectrum. I've had basic cable. So I get where people are getting at, and it does get a little frustrating
mm,
because I've been there where like I haven't had a whole lot of channels and kind of really watch a whole lot of
well, the
stuff. Now
quality's
it's
gone
like,
down. That's the thing with cable and satellite. Quality's gone down.
but honestly, I will say for something like that, I'm kind of grateful that they did it for the bars and the hotels. Um, and I guess it makes sense to have it on the streaming platforms for anybody else outside because I think you can also do it through YouTube. You got to pay a little bit more, but
Yeah.
there are ways that you can get it. So, I mean, a lot of people do have computers, so they can find a way to be able to
Mm,
get Sunday Ticket through YouTube. So, I guess that makes sense
yeah.
in that regard. But
But see,
as far as like putting games on streaming and nothing else, that's a little too
yeah.
quick.
But see, I mean, and again, YouTube is still a little too soon, which is why I'm glad DirecTV worked out this deal. But
Hmm.
I mean, the thing what works, and the reason I'm not criticizing Amazon Prime is, let's face it, there's a lot of households that have Amazon Prime. Okay, if you
Right.
don't, you really are living under a rock. Because if you have the Amazon Prime, membership, you get the 2-day delivery, you get the, obviously the video, you get everything but Amazon Music with it, basically, is what it is.
I
So,
think you can get like Amazon Music free trials sometimes, but
yeah, but it's, you got to pay extra for that, which is so stupid. But, and this is coming from a person who does have Amazon Music. But Um, yeah, so like I said, it's just too soon. I wanted to talk on Out of Turn 4, of course, about the Xfinity Series potential to go full streaming in 2025, but you can't do that with even NASCAR because it's going to hurt, viewership. It's also going to hurt sponsorship models. And, I think it's going to hurt sponsors. It's going to make them not want to go, to the Peacock exclusives, to the ESPN Plus exclusive. Um, so I guess I'll leave it at that in terms of how I feel about, the streaming
I,
aspect of things. But
I think it's kind of crazy about this man.
yeah, yeah.
I think the last piece to the puzzle of the last Super Bowl win for the Broncos has officially been cut. So
Hmm.
no more Super Bowl 50 team is on the current Broncos roster, and it's kind of sad now.
Hmm.
It didn't take him long to get um, picked up as the Jags pick him up, and I think they sent their last kicker to like the Lions or something like that for a
Hmm.
conditional pick. So,
Yeah. So,
so maybe
interesting news, of course.
not exactly the greatest kicker in the world, but I think it's probably an upgrade for the Jags.
See, McManus is a good kicker. It's, he's like middle of the road. I don't think he's top 5 by any means. It's unfortunate he will no longer be on the Denver Broncos. Of course, the last member of that Super Bowl 50 team. But, he did great for the team. He'll do well for the Jags, I think. And he'll, at the very least, bring the leadership. I think that's the biggest thing. Even though he's a kicker, special teams players are people too. He was a part of that roster. I think he'll bring some decent leadership qualities to hopefully help, Trevor Lawrence and the Jags in terms of getting back to it, getting to the, next step.
I will say this now. I mean, I know it's way before the season, but and I said it before that the Jags could be that surprising team, but I think that this year maybe more so than not, especially with possibly, Calvin Ridley coming back. I get it. He also hasn't played for a whole entire year, but honestly, I think that he can be the difference maker for this Jags team. So it'd be interesting to see what they can do.
I'm willing to bet on that.
You think so?
Gee, that was a joke. That just went over your head. Sorry, it was a weak joke.
I get it now.
Yeah. All right. Oh, man. But, yeah, we'll see what happens, of course. We do have Tinkle on this now, of course. Yankees fans, stay classy, Yankees fans. Fernando Tatis comes up to the plate. They chant steroids at him. Tatis nails one out of the park, and then as he goes back to play defense, he goes back. He doesn't hear anything from him, and he's like, "Oh, what happened? Why so quiet, guys? Something wrong?" Just trolling him at that point. So Yankees fans, you just basically got served. Tinkle on this.
The best kind of medicine right there is shutting up, the opposing team's fans for chanting something outrageous like that.
It's great to shut them up, but at the same time, don't you think it validates some of their points if you just nailed one out of the park after chanting steroids?
It kind of does.
I mean, yes and no. It's great you shut them up, but you might have shut them up for like two different reasons. That's what I'm going to get at with that.
You have a point, and also that, you just nailed it out of the park for a home run.
Yeah, so. Oh, man. But interesting. So with that, what's coming up? No Final Bell this week.
Oh, yeah. We are officially, in pay-per-view season for May, as Under Siege just happened for Impact, and we are getting on to, of course, later tonight is Double or Nothing. So if you're looking forward to both of those pay-per-views, then we're definitely the show to talk about. Is we are officially on the road of Double or Nothing to the road of Forbidden Door. We talked about it. Marty and I had talked about it before. We will be there in Toronto for Forbidden Door. Looking forward to it. First AEW pay-per-view that we're going to be there. So
you're going to be there in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, in a couple weeks.
Yeah, so
June 25th. So we will be there. Less than a month away. So
yes. So you guys might be stuck here with Uncle Brian that week.
Yes.
So, sorry guys.
Well, possibly. I mean, unless we can make something happen beforehand.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe you'll be able to make something happen from the hotel room.
Well,
you never know.
I mean, we're leaving that Sunday, so.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. But, of course, that's coming up on No Final Bell very soon. I mentioned please go back and watch yesterday's episode of Out of Turn 4 before the Indy 500. Of course, pre-race has begun on Peacock just as we got started here at 9 a.m. But they'll transition over to NBC in about an hour and 10 minutes. So if you're watching the premiere or you're just listening when this thing got released at 9, so go and watch ours. It's only a half hour, but we cover a lot in terms of the Indy 500. Of course, we also got our Monaco picks for Follow the Leader 1 that's happening right now. We had our Coke 600 picks as well for later tonight. And then, of course, Tuesday we get to recap all this wild day in racing. Of course, Memorial Day weekend is without question the biggest weekend in all of motorsports. So we can't wait to recap that all. It's probably going to be a decent length episode. So you will want to tune in. 5 p.m. Eastern, YouTube and Facebook Watch. They're on Wednesday at 5 on YouTube. But we want to thank you guys for watching. And again, thanks to all those who gave the ultimate sacrifice to allow us to do this and allow these athletes to be able to play under the freedom blanket here that we have in the United States. And we'll be back next week. It'll be the month of June when we're back, which means we'll have about a month until our break. We'll have details on that later once we kind of get it ironed out. But we're getting close to that summer break. But we'll have a few more episodes for you before then. But until then, we'll see you next Sunday.